guys. Screen share. Perfect. Everyone's like looking at me like, what is she doing? There we go. Sweet, I got it. Hey, what's up, everyone?
Hey,
How's
Jen.
Hey, Jen B, what's up?
What's up? I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We missed you today. You're not coming to my meetings anymore.
I was almost there. I'll make it next time.
All right, all right. I'll hold you to that. I'll hold you to that. All right, guys. I'm Jennifer. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Sorry, we're running a little behind, guys. I was doing our sales meeting. For those of you that don't know, I'm Jennifer, the branch manager here at the Orlando office by downtown Orlando. I host a meeting once a week on Tuesdays at 11 a.m., which is here in the downtown office. Sometimes we do a little training afterwards. So today we are doing a training on the listing agreement. So as a lot of you may know, this is a very important contract that you are going to be using all the time, especially when you get listings. So this is something you're going to want to be extremely familiar with and know how to also explain to a client. All right. So is everyone ready to start? Awesome. Awesome. Can everyone see the screen? Great, great. All right. So we'll just go ahead and get started. All right, so basically the listing agreement, just to put it in the most simple terms, is an agreement between the client and the brokerage to basically allow the brokerage to market and sell that specific property that the client owns. It's always important to remember to always get the full names of your clients, which means their full legal names. And you can verify that through, a state issued license, a passport, or some sort of official document. But you always want to know their full legal name in order to put that on the contract. Okay. Also, you're going to want to know their emails, which you should already have. That way you can send the paperwork for e-signing once everything is complete. So everybody should have transaction desks set up. This is the main system that we use here in Lifestyle in order to fill out documents, to send them for e-signatures, and also to submit them for our closings. It's a one-stop shop, which makes it really convenient. So all of you should have this set up already. It is provided to you free by the company. You will need to email Carolina if you do not have your login details. That is very important to get set up before you start taking clients. That way you already have your system in place so you can write up your contracts. Whether it's buying or selling, you're going to want to have that set up, all right? So hold on, let me move this little window. It's in the way. Okay, so this is your main transaction dashboard here. I already opened up a transaction, so this is the main overview of the dashboard on Transaction Desk. You're gonna want to come here to where it says Forms on the right-hand side, and if you click Add here in the corner, this is going to take you to all of the contracts that we have available in the system. So for the listing agreement, it's going to be the very first one that says FR agency disclosures, listings, commission, and registration forms. You're going to want to click on that. All right. And you're going to want to scroll down to the exclusive right of sale listing agreement dash transaction broker. That is going to be the main contract that you are using as a listing agent. All right. This is on the listing side, not the buying side. So this is the main form that you're going to be using when you are about to list a property for a client. Now, you don't want to choose Non-representation or single agent, because that changes your relationship as their agent. You always want to go with transaction broker. If you guys took the test, you should remember the differences between these. I'm not going to get into that. So I'm just going to click the transaction broker. And then I'm going to click on the top corner, add. And that is going to add the blank document to my transaction here. So now I have the right of sale listing agreement added into my transaction desk. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on it, and that is going to open it up. And this is the main contract here. So guys, this is definitely not as long as the purchase contract. The purchase contract is 12 pages. The listing agreement is actually, I think it's only 4 pages or 5 pages. So it's, yeah, 4 pages. So really this is easy, guys. You should know how to fill out this contract after today.
Yeah.
You should. So, okay, you're gonna wanna start at the top. And this is your way to fill out this form. Once you open it on Transaction Desk, you should just be able to click on the spaces and just plug and play. Now, keep in mind that if you do import the data from the Stellar MLS by the MLS number, then all of this will already be automatically plugged in for you, and it will plug in all of the blanks in the contract as well. So this is a very good idea. With the listing, you can't do that, obviously, because you're putting the listing up. But on the buyer side, you're always going to want to put in the MLS ID number. So it just plugs in all the info for you already. As a listing agent, it's not going to do that because, well, it may be in the system, but it's not in the system as an active listing. So with this, you have to fill it out manually. But on the buyer side, it should just plug everything in for you. You upload the MLS ID. So here in the seller, you put your client's legal name. So if you only have one seller, you're gonna wanna put their full legal name here at the top where it says seller. If you have 2 sellers, you're gonna wanna put the first seller here and then put and then the second seller here. So let's just do this by example. Let's just say our client is John Smith, and he is wanting to sell his property here in Orlando, and he wants me to be his listing agent. Hold on, let me move this bar. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, there, that's better. Okay, so you fill out your seller's name, and then in the second line here where it says broker, you're gonna wanna put Lifestyle International Realty. So you're not going to put your own name here just because you are putting the name of the actual brokerage here and not your personal name. So this agreement is between John Smith and Lifestyle International Realty to sell his property. Because remember, you have to do the sale through the brokerage, not through yourself. And so here in part 1, it says authority to sell property. This is basically going to be the time frame of the agreement. So most of the time, most of us listing agents are putting about 6 months period in this section here. Well, typically it's not going to take 6 months to sell that property, but you want to put a buffer in there just to give you enough time to actually do your due diligence and sell it and get rid of the property. So we're going to go by today's date, which is the 12th. You can click on the calendar next to the blank and choose today's date if you are planning to list the property today or as soon as possible. Say, for example, they didn't want to list until the weekend, then you would choose a later date, and you could choose the 14th or the 15th, whatever day that you and the seller decide that you want to get it on the market. So you're always going to want to choose the date of when this actual agreement will begin, which is basically the day that you will be actually posting this listing for sale. So say, for example, he wants it on the market by tomorrow. So I'm going to put the 13th. Okay. And then I'm going to come here to the second line here, click the little calendar again, and I'm going to put 6 months out from tomorrow's date, the 13th, which I put on the contract already. So we're gonna go August, June, July, September, October. So we're gonna do November. So we're gonna click here and click over to November and put the 13th. So that's 6 months from today. So basically this agreement, the seller is agreeing for 6 months to allow the agent to sell the property within those 6 months that you have on the contract. All right. So now section 2, this is going to be the address of the property that you will be selling. So, you know, just for selling purposes or just for training purposes, I will put the office address here, but you're going to want to put the property address here in this line. So sometimes you have to separate it because there's boxes here. So I'm going to put it in the second box, Pasadena Place, Orlando, Florida. And the zip. Okay. So fairly easy. You just want to put in part A, the full property address. And now legal description. This is very important. This is how they identify the property with the title company through public records. So you always want to either go into the public records or the property appraiser website and look up the property through county records. And that will give you the official legal description for that property. So you always want to look that up in the system. I'm just going to go ahead and skip that part, but it's very important that you plug those numbers in this legal description here. That is how they identify the property legally. Okay. So part B, personal property. This basically means what is going to be included with the sale. So for example, these are things that are not attached to the property, such as a dishwasher, a microwave, a refrigerator, washer and dryer, a water filtration system, solar panels, anything that they're not going to be taking with them when they leave. Okay, so that basically means, are they leaving the washer and dryer? Are they leaving the water filters? Are they leaving the solar panels? Are they leaving the brand new fridge? Whatever it is, you're going to want to include that here. So say, for example, we're doing fridge, oven, dishwasher, range hood, and washer dryer. Okay. So I'm just going to plug all that in there so there's no confusion as to what's included with the sale and what's not. Okay. Say, for example, your client wanted to take the dryer and the washer because it's brand new. They just bought it. They don't want to leave it and buy brand new ones. So then you would just not include the washer and dryer in personal property. That way, they are aware and you're aware, and the buyers will be aware that that's not included in the sale. You're also going to want to include that in the MLS listing. That way everybody knows what's included and what's not. Okay. So next you want to move on to section C, which is occupancy. This basically refers to the status of the property right now as they're signing the contract. Is it owner occupied? Does he have tenants in the property? Is it vacant? You're going to want to choose the option. So say, for example, this one is owner occupied. John Smith is still living there, but he's cool with showings and he's cool with selling it while he still lives there. So we're going to put the property is currently occupied. And then it says here, I'm just going to put owner occupied. Okay. If not, if it's a tenant, then you're going to want to put the lease terms, whether it's month to month or lease ends in September or end of the year, whatever it is, you're just going to want to plug that in right here where it's terms. And if it's the owner, just put owner occupied. Okay. Then you want to come to section 3, part A. Okay. It's very important to get this part right. This is going to be the purchase price. So this is basically going to be the price that you and the seller decide to post the listing. So say, for example, he lives in a small single family home here in Orlando. It's a 3-bedroom. We did the CMA. We discussed the numbers. He decided that he wanted to list at $285. Okay. So boom, we're just going to plug that in there. I always add the .00 because I'm weird like that, so whatever. So put the purchase price there, okay? And then you want to come to part B. B is financing terms. You're going to want to discuss with your seller the type of financing and the differences between them and which ones they would like to accept. Okay, so if it's a single family home, most likely it will be open to all types of financing. But if you have like a condo, you're going to want to be aware that, you know, there are some restrictions with financing there. So just make sure to discuss that with your clients and choose the proper financing. Whoa, okay. So basically, you're gonna wanna choose the financing here. We discussed it, he was open to all financing. So we're gonna do cash, conventional, VA, FHA, okay? Now we're gonna keep scrolling down. This is seller financing, assumption of mortgage. We're not gonna fill any of that out because that's not the case here. So we're gonna keep scrolling past the first page. And now we're gonna come to the second page. Now in part 6, section B, this is going to discuss the actual marketing of the property on the internet. So some sellers will not want to post this one on the MLS. Say if they want to do an off-market deal because it needs some work, it's not going to finance traditional loans, then you would put seller does not authorize broker to display the property on the MLS. Now this is only going to be if they don't want to put the house on the actual MLS, which means this is going to be an off-market deal. If that's not the case, then don't worry about that. But you're going to want to click these boxes if they don't want to market the house on the actual internet. That's a rare situation. So most of the time, you're not even going to worry about that, okay? Now, if you come down to section E, this is going to talk about actually accessing the property and how you're going to perform the showing appointments. So most of the time, most of us are using electronic Supra boxes for showings, which you can purchase at the Orlando Regional Realtor Association. Those run about 125 or 130 bucks per box. So if you do get a listing, you're going to have to go to the association and buy that box. You could also use the traditional, you know, lock with the code with just the numbers on it. But it's always a good idea to do the electronic one just so you can keep track of all the activity at the property, because you will be able to see who comes in and out of the property with the electronic. So I prefer the electronic lock boxes. I use the electronic lock boxes, but it's up to you and the seller mainly. So here, I'm just going to check use a lockbox system to show and access the property. This basically means the seller is giving permission for people to schedule appointments and use a lockbox system to access his property. So this is something you're going to want to discuss with your sellers beforehand. You always want to ask, especially if they're living there, are you comfortable with doing showings, and how would you like to perform these showings? Do you have an extra key that I can put in my lockbox? What times and days are good for you? Do you want these appointments set in advance, or can they be at least 2 hours ahead of time, same day? So you're going to want to find these things out from your client to find out what's most convenient for them. Some people work from home, some people have kids, some people have older families. So you're going to want to make sure you find out what works for that person and how they want to perform those showing appointments when you guys get it on the market. So that's very important to discuss with your seller clients so that they are aware of what's about to happen and how you're going to do those showings, okay? So here in section E, you also have withhold verbal offers and withhold all offers when seller accepts. So I typically don't check those because I do honor verbal offers. So I will always relay a verbal offer to my client. But if, you know, by any chance your client does not want to accept verbal offers and wants everything on paper, then you would just go ahead and check withhold verbal offers here, which means that basically only offers that are on paper will be considered. So I don't do that because we do get a lot of verbal offers, you know, especially from investors. So I don't like to check that box, but if that's what your client wants, then that's there, okay? So you're gonna keep going, virtual office websites. This is basically if the seller authorizes automated estimates of the value. You're gonna wanna leave that unchecked unless they really don't want these systems doing automated estimates. But typically you'll leave those unchecked. So you're gonna keep scrolling. And now you come to part 8 on page 3, section A. This is going to be your compensation and how you get paid. So you have to make sure you fill out this section correctly. Otherwise, you're not going to get paid what you need to get paid. So section A, this basically talks about what compensation is at the closing of a sale. So typically the going rate right now is anywhere from 2.5% to 3% per agent, which means the total commission for your seller is going to be typically anywhere from 5 to 6%. It's very important to understand this difference because some people are going to come to you and say, "Oh, can you do the listing for a total of 5%?" You know, and you have to realize they're talking about basically 2.5 each per agent. All right, because some people will offer 5%, some people will want to do the full 6%. So you have to make sure you understand that the full commission for a seller is typically 5 to 6%, because they are going to be paying 2 agents at closing. So they must understand that. Most experienced sellers are going to already be aware of that, that they have to pay 2 agents, you know, their own agent and also a buyer's agent. But for people who have never sold a home before, you will have to explain that and maybe even do the numbers for them so that they understand that they are responsible to pay the agents at closing. So you can always do the math for your clients and kind of calculate the commissions based on the listing price. But also remember, houses are not always going to sell at the listing price. You have negotiations, you have appraisal. That number could change. But at the end of the day, you want to negotiate at least 5 to 6%, because remember, you're not only negotiating your commission, you're also negotiating buyer's agent's commission. And you don't want to offer anything too low to the buyer's agent either, because you don't want people to pass up on your client's listing and not be able to sell the home because you guys are not offering much of a commission. So you also have to explain that to your clients as well, that offering a decent buyer's agent commission is crucial, especially in the market shift that we're seeing now. You don't want to go cheap on that because you really want buyers to come to your property and see it. And you're not going to sell it if you're not getting showings. So you want showings to help you sell the property. So right here, typically you would want to put what your own compensation is going to be, which basically this is your compensation as their agent, which is the listing agent's compensation. So let's just say, for example, we agreed on a total of 5% on the listing. So here you're going to put 2.5% right here in this line. Now, I always also add the lifestyle transaction fee here where it says 2.5 of total purchase plus blank. So this is where I add the $395 transaction fee. That way there's no arguments at closing about this fee and that I charge my clients this fee. I charge every client this fee. I pay it on my own. We pay enough money to do this as it is. So I always charge that to my clients and I add it here in the listing agreement if I'm working with the seller. So I will add my compensation here. I will get paid 2.5% at closing of the purchase price. And I will also be charging a $395 transaction fee to the client at closing. However, that $395 does not go to me. That is a transaction fee, which will be paid to Lifestyle Realty. Now, if anybody has a problem with it, you're going to want to try to explain in the best way possible that that is not your fee, that that is a transaction fee that is charged on every single sale that goes through the brokerage. Every real estate brokerage charges a transaction fee. It's common practice. So just explain it to your clients. So basically here we have 2.5 for me and we have a $3.95 fee added on there that will be charged at closing. If you don't want to do a percent, you can also do a flat fee, which you would put right here. But I always encourage you just to negotiate that percentage for yourself. Okay, so you want to gonna keep scrolling down. All right, now you have section D, which is a broker's fee in case they cancel. You can add in like a cancellation fee if you like. I typically don't do that, but if you want to do that, you can add that in here in section D. Okay, and then section E is retained deposits. As for broker services, broker is entitled to receive blank if deposits that seller retained are liquidated and the transaction does not close. So you can put 0 here, which means you would not be entitled to the deposit. If you leave it blank, then basically that means in case something were to happen, you would be entitled to 50% of the deposit that was put on the property. So that definitely protects you in the case that it either cancels, falls through, whatever the case is. Deals fall through all the time. So if you do want to do, a deposit there, you can leave that blank. And then we're going to want to come here, section 9. This is cooperation with and compensation to other brokers. This is basically what the seller is going to pay another agent for bringing them a buyer. So this is very important to fill out this section as well, because this is going to be what the co-broke fee is going to be. It's common for people to consider this a co-broke. So if you hear that term, that's what they're referring to. So they're offering 2.5% in co-broke. So I'm going to check the box here and put 2.5%. Or it already has a percent, never mind. So just put 2.5, okay, of the purchase price to a single agent. Check the next box and put 2.5 again. That's 2.5 of the purchase price to a transaction broker. And then you're going to want to check this third box here as well and also put 2.5, which is of the purchase price. So this is basically referring to every single type of agent relationship that could possibly come from the buyer side. So basically, this is just guaranteeing 2.5 to a single, 2.5 to a transaction broker, and 2.5 to a broker with no agent or no brokerage relationship. So basically, this is just referring to every single type of relationship that could happen. So you just want to click all those boxes and put the same percent there if you're offering the same commission. Okay. So basically what I did is I put 2.5 for me up here with my $3.95 fee. And then I added the other agent's commission here, which is cooperation with another broker, which is 2.5% as well, which would give us 5% in commissions in total on this contract. So you want to keep going. Now that we have our compensation filled out, make sure all of that is correct. Always double check your contracts before sending. That's my advice. Okay, this is a conditional termination. If the seller decides to cancel for any reason, you can add a cancellation fee in there because sometimes we do spend money on signs, on marketing, on open houses. So if you do spend lots of money, especially on higher end listings, you spend a lot of money in marketing and stuff, and you want to put a cancellation fee on there, you can go ahead and add that in there. That way you can get compensated for a lot of your time and money that you put into the listing before it got canceled or withdrawn or whatever the case is. All right. So dispute resolution, this comes and talks about arbitration, which is basically like a dispute resolution between buyers and sellers or whoever is involved in the situation. So basically, this would have nothing to do with you necessarily. This would be more like how to resolve any type of issues or escrow disputes, anything of that sort. I typically leave it blank here just because, you never know if arbitration is going to be something that they want to agree to or mediation. Not everybody is open to those types of things. So I just leave those blank. But if the seller does agree, then you can initial here and then you would initial here, okay? So this is the last page, page 4. Any additional terms that you might want to add, you can add here in the additional terms box here below. So say, for example, you had some sort of terms about tenants you wanted to put in there, or maybe the seller needs it sold by a certain time, or maybe he wants something specific at closing. You can add that in here in the additional terms. All right, so it's fairly short contract, not too complicated. Once you're done filling all of that out, you're going to want to go ahead and upload that here in the top to Occupancy. So Occupancy is basically already directly integrated into Transaction Desk, and that is how you're going to export the document for e-signatures. So you're going to want to click up here, the pen at the very top. It's going to ask you if you want to create a signing session with this document, and you are going to go ahead and click yes. So now it'll take a second, and it's going to upload the document to Occupancy. So you can change the name of the contract here, which I usually like to do just so I don't have a bunch of the contracts with the same exact, name. So I'm just going to do that. Now I'm going to put 130 Pasadena listing agreement. Okay, and then down here, I'm going to click down on step 2. And I have everybody who I put on the contract, but I'm going to be sending this to my client, John, for signing. So I'm going to click John, but I'm also going to click myself because I have to sign this agreement too, because I am agreeing to market and sell this home. So I also have to sign it, and I'm going to add myself as a remote signer as well. Okay, so I'm going to add myself and my client in the transaction. It's going to ask you here what the roles are for each person. So here you can add the seller is John, and then the listing agent here, I'm going to put my name. That way it's going to plug in our names in the correct spots on the contract if I do that here. So seller 1, I click John Smith. There is no seller 2, so I ignore. Listing agent 1 is me. There is no other listing agent on here. And then the listing broker, just leave that as well. So you're gonna save because I have myself and John on there. All right, so it already has my info, but it needs email for my client. So you're going to want to click here in the little exclamation point, and it's going to tell you that there's missing information. That basically means you need to add the email of the person. That way they can actually receive the paperwork. So I'm just going to put my own email here for now, but you're going to want to put your client's email right here where it says email. So you want to make sure that you have their full name and their email. That's most important. And then save participants. All right, now save again. And now I am ready to send these off. The last step is going to be design. So here's documents. If you need to add any other documents into there, you can do that on step 3 by clicking add documents. And that will open up a window and give you the option to add any other documents that you may need to into that listing agreement. All right, so for example, you will need to send a property's seller disclosure. That's required by law. That's basically a form that they have to fill out disclosing the current condition of the property. Especially if they live there, you're going to want to have them fill that out right away. That's required by Florida law. So it's basically just a quick questionnaire. It's multiple choice, yes, no, or I don't know. So it's fairly simple. And the client would just basically want to fill that out. That's going to talk about the roof. That's going to talk about the plumbing. That's going to talk about the electricity. That's going to talk about sinkholes. That's going to talk about encroachments. Everything that you could possibly think of. It's I don't know. Make sure you have the seller sign that as well, because you will need that, and you can upload that to the MLS with the listing. That way, the buyer's agents will be able to just download that seller's disclosure on the MLS and have their clients sign it so they can attach it to the offer and send it to you. It makes your life easier. It makes the other agent's life easier. So you're going to want to make sure you upload those correct disclosures on your listing as well. That way it saves you time, it saves the other agent time, and you make it more streamlined. because you don't want to be dealing with, you know, a million different emails, million different documents. Try to streamline everything, makes your life easier. Okay, so always you can add those documents here. If you have the seller's disclosure, you can go here and click add documents, and you can upload that too here if you needed to. Also any like HOA disclosures, lead-based paint disclosures, you can also have them initial sign those and upload those for signatures here, okay? And so I'm not gonna add any other documents, so I'm gonna close that. And then I'm gonna go to step 4, which is design. Okay, so this is basically how you set up everything for your e-signatures, all right? So this is basically how you're going to set up initials and signatures on the documents that you just created. So this is the listing agreement between John Smith and Lifestyle Realty. Everything looks correct, and it already plugged in the seller's initials here because I put him as the seller. So because I did that, it already plugged in his initials on the first line, and there should be an initial box on the bottom of every single page. So make sure you double check that before you send it off, just to make sure that everything was placed in the correct spot. Computers, internet is never reliable, so always double check this stuff, guys. So I'm checking here, initials are here at the bottom. And another signature and initial box here. So it plugged in everything perfectly for the seller, which is great, but it doesn't have my signature or initials for me. So now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna click up here where it says drag and drop on the right-hand side, okay? And I'm going to click on the initial here box. It's going to pop up a little box with my initials that say JA. I'm going to just hover over that, click down and hold, and drag that down to where it says broker sales associate. It is a bit big, so I'm going to just shrink it down by using the 4 bubbles in the corner. So that basically makes my signature or my initial a little bit smaller. I'm just going to align that between the parentheses here. So I just added an initial box on the first page for myself. Okay, I'm gonna scroll down to the second page, and I'm gonna do the same exact thing, drag and drop, initial, and drag the box down to where I initial the agreement. Just reduce that down a little bit and align it with the parentheses. And I'm just gonna do that for every single page here, drag and drop, initial, and put it in the right spot, okay? So it's fairly simple, guys. Once you do this a couple times, this is gonna be like very, very simple for you. So just get to know the system and practice if you need to as well. Now I got a signature here, but I also have a sign here where it says authorized sales associate or broker. That's where I'm gonna sign. So I'm gonna click drag and drop again, but I'm gonna click sign here. And once I click sign here, a box is going to pop up for my signature. And I'm gonna drag that down to where it says authorized sales associate, because you are going to be the authorized sales associate. You wanna drop that here, and then you're gonna wanna click drag and drop again, and you're gonna wanna click this little stamper with the calendar. That's an auto date. So it's automatically going to plug in the date once you sign it, and I'm gonna drag that here to where it says date, okay? So now I have signature set up for John and myself with the auto dates. And then you can't forget that last initial box on the last page. Never forget, a lot of agents forget that last page with initials. So make sure you have every single initial box on every page, okay? So there you go. That's all 4 pages. You're gonna wanna scroll back up top and just double check before you send it off, all right? So here I have John and myself. The bottom of every page should be an initial for him and for me, okay? His initial, my initial. I'm just gonna delete this one here because I never added that. And then you wanna check on the last page, make sure you have 2 signatures, 2 auto dates, and also the initials at the bottom, all right? So now this is ready to go. It's not necessary to fill out like emails and addresses unless you really want to. I usually don't. So here we have this contract ready to go. So I'm going to come up here and click next at the very, very top. Okay, and then it's going to ask me if I want to customize the email invitations. I usually don't, but if you want to get, you know, a little bit more detailed with it, you can write like a short memo or notes or customize it. I usually don't. So I just click send invitations and then boom, done. The Authentisign invitations were successfully sent. So now those documents are waiting in my client's email. So once John Smith has time, he can log into his email. He will have an email from Authentisign that says signing, you know, required, or I don't remember the wording, but he's basically going to see the email. He's going to click in the email and then he can click the link to be taken. And once he clicks start on the document, it's going to basically guide him from the first initial all the way to the last one. So he can just click and go. And it's basically just clicking through every single initial and signature box until they're done. And then once he's clicked every single box, it's going to give him an option to finish. So he clicks on the top that he's done and boom, it'll automatically send that document to him and to me once it is completed by all parties. So you can put also a specific signing order. You know, you can put yourself as the first signer and then have your client sign it, and it'll directly send it in that order, or you can send it all at once. Either way, once it's all completed and signed by everybody, it's going to send everybody involved a copy through an email, and you can download it through there if you need to. Okay, if not, it's going to be in Transaction Desk as well. So if you need to go back, you'll be able to come here and see your signings, and you'll be able to access those documents through this system as well. So you can either get it through the email or through Transaction Desk. But either way, it's pretty simple. You know, once you do this a few times, you're going to be a pro. So, you know, yeah, that's about it, really. I mean, you know, it's pretty cut and dry. So now I just want to take, it's what, almost 12:50. So if anybody has any questions, they can unmute, or anyone here sitting in front of me has any questions.
If a client wants to change, let's say in the middle of like you already signed one listing agreement, now he wants to change, let's say the commission or the list price, do you have to sign a new listing agreement?
No. So if that were the case, you're going to go back to forms and you're going to look for a form that says modification to listing agreement. That basically is any changes you need to make with the commission structure or the marketing or anything like that. You can just go ahead and change it through the modification to listing agreement that way. And then you'll just have, you know, your client sign off on that. That way, you know that that change is being made to the listing terms.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. And oh my God, yeah, that's only 4 months. I saw that in the chat. I'm so stupid. Like I was rushing through it. I didn't even think that is not 6 months. I need more coffee, y'all. I need more coffee, y'all.
The disclosure forms are in the forms bank.
The disclosures, yes. So if you're looking for disclosures, you're going to come back here to forms and back up here to the corner where it's add. And you should be able to find any disclosures that you need under this tab here where it says FAR Bar Residential Contract and Addenda. Addenda is basically like disclosures, addendums, anything like that. So you can click in here and then you can scroll through all of the addendums here, and you can have the seller sign an initial, and there's going to be a place for the buyer. So you just upload that to the MLS, and then the buyer's agent can download that disclosure and have the buyers also sign an initial. That way that you have a completed disclosure that you can just attach to the main contract. Okay. Sure.
So in this example, you put owner occupied for whoever lives there at the moment.
Yeah.
What if it's a multi-family property? And they do it like
Cógelo tú, así, se silencia el banco, pues,
So
Oh, you could put that in the additional terms, yes. So in that line, you would put that it is currently tenant occupied, and then in that line after, you can put like either their month to month or their lease ends here or whatever the situation is. It doesn't give you much space. So if you do need more space to write out what the actual situation is, you can use the additional terms on the last page.
And the other question is, in this example, seller financing wasn't checked. But let's say at this moment he wasn't open to it, and then, 4 weeks down the line, there hasn't been a lot of things. A lot of people always, no, hey, is he open to seller financing? You have to modify that as well.
If they did want to go ahead and go that route, seller financing, they could do that. You wouldn't have to change the listing agreement. You would just have to obviously get that on paper and make sure that the agreement is between the seller and the prospective tenant / buyer. You know what I mean? So you would just have to basically write a whole new contract for that anyways. So there's, you don't have to go back and modify the listing agreement. Mhm. But if that is an option, then, at the beginning, you're definitely going to want to check that off in the contract. Anybody else on the Zoom have questions, concerns?
I actually want to find it outside to do this. And get my money. Yes,
Anyone?
it's good.
Hey, y'all. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up here then. It seems like I got all the questions. I hope that this was informative, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys have any questions for me, you can reach out. Sorry if I talk really fast. That's just how I talk. But if you need to reach out to me, my number is 407-719-1349. I'm the branch manager in the downtown Orlando office. So hit me up if you need anything, or if I went through everything too fast, you can hit me up personally too, or if you have any questions. All right, y'all. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful Tuesday, and I will see you later. Ciao for now.